What's good? What's good? Are we doing today, boys?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
Pretty good, bro. Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for this week. I don't know if you guys can figure out why.
I mean, if I had to take a guess, I would say it has something to do with the start time. You finally get that American experience for a change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does feel pretty good. I mean, I feel both like joyous and like insanely disrespected as well because it just throws me back to being a what do you call it, UFC 304, was it, in my fucking pajamas?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still gonna enjoy the experience. It will be weird to like wake up in the morning and be watching a card over breakfast or whatever it's gonna be. It's gonna be a pretty sweet. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
We'll be
Shout out to
watching
everyone
it.
who's turned up. Mm.
We'll be watching it over breakfast too, because I ain't watching it when it's on. I'm gonna watch it when I wake up.
You guys are scum. Crossover was saying the exact same. You have to do it once a year. Once a year, and you can't even show your boy some solidarity. You're like, fuck that. I'll wake up and watch it in the
Nope.
morning. Disgrace.
Not gonna happen.
Disgrace. Like, shout out to the boys in the chat, by the way, and those who have turned up. We really appreciate having you here. We got some early messages from like Andy B and JPL. I've definitely got to talk to you boys about the app that he's got going because he showed me a preview of it. It's really amazing. We'll talk about that later. Joe Hogan, shout out to you as well. And JVD, hope everyone's doing well. All right, so what do you boys want to start off with today?
Definitely something UFC 309 related.
Sounds good. We could. How about if we start with Mr. Bo Nickal?
Mm.
Oh man, that was wild.
I didn't want to say I told you guys though.
Yeah. Nah, he was. I mean, he was cautious, I guess. Like when I made this, I could have made it cautious, Bo Nickal, but that doesn't have the ring that boring Bo Nickal has. But
I do like some alliteration. You know, as in
yeah,
my former profession, is something I always look out for.
people like alliteration.
Good.
But no, he was I don't know. He should have done more against somebody, the caliber of Paul Craig. But maybe not. Maybe he is where he's supposed to be. I think all those dreams of him fighting and beating Hamza Chimaev, I don't even know if their paths will cross at this point. I mean, it's not looking that way.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely to. What do you reckon? What do you reckon, crossover? How did you feel about the Bo Nickal experience?
So very similar to both you guys, but I'm gonna find a silver lining in it. In that, for me, Bo Nickal's striking is never gonna get better if he doesn't work on it in an actual fight. It's the only way. It's the only way he's gonna improve that part of his game. Like he has to implement it. He has to use it. But on the flip side, I mean, I definitely think we got to think about, like he went into the fight and he took the route with the least amount of obstacles, because all three of us know Paul Craig offers no threat on the feet. Like he's not you're not worried about him having success or finishing you or anything like that. Now, yes, Bo's a wrestler and he can go and grapple, but you would be right where Paul Craig wants to be as well. And yeah, like you believe in your ability, but why not force your opponent to fight in a realm where he offers you no resistance at all? So I'm trying to find a silver lining because, I mean, Bo Nickal's still very young in his career, still learning, and it's only going to get better. You got to think about it. The guy's not going to look like this in a year, you know?
Yeah, I'm not so disappointed by the performance so much itself. I think the issue I have is the way that he self glazes so much. I think that's the big problem that I have with it. It's if he'd come out at the end of it and just said, you know what, it wasn't my best performance. There were things that I did well. I think a lot of people would have laid off him a bit. But I think calling it the most, I think saying he dominated him and it was a complete performance was fucking retarded, to be perfectly honest. And it's why everyone's kind of been going at him so hard, because it's he, you know, there's a I gave Paul Craig the first round, which, considering they were both standing, is not because I thought, I mean, when we all talked about this before, I thought Bo Nickal was going to knock his head off in the first round. I didn't expect Bo to wrestle either. That part of it didn't surprise me. I thought he'd knock his block off in the first round, and I think a lot of us were thinking that. And I don't think any of us were expecting him to look as bad as he did standing. Because once Paul Craig figured out this guy's not going to take me down, he was just able to keep at a certain distance and just, you know, pick away with leg kicks. And to say that it was the perfect performance, I think, is the problem that I had with it. It just felt delusional to me. And the fact that he keeps coming out every week and saying, oh, if I got matched up with Khamzat Chimaev, I do this. If I got matched up with this guy, I do that. Right now, he looks miles and miles and miles off where he's saying he should be. So I think if he laid off sucking his own ball sack, I think he'd be all right. You know? But I personally don't think he's gonna. I personally don't think he's gonna ever become a champion. I don't expect that, and I think the UFC is gonna have to be very careful about where they match him up, because the next one could be a really bad one for him if they're not careful with it. But yeah, that's where I'm at with Bo Nickal. Shut your mouth.
Where do you think his ceiling is?
Top 10. I reckon top 10. I'm doing another one of those wild ones where I say something and it's just, we'll see. But I'm going top 10.
I mean, it's not a crazy take, dude. It's not. What do you think, Cross?
I think he can get into the top 5, bro. I mean, he's got so much growth left, and he's so young in the sport. I think having that base and it always being there in his back pocket. I mean, I know middleweight right now is definitely getting very deep as a division, so I definitely can see there's a lot of landmines along the path for him, because the division is just getting deeper. But I mean, I think he's still got a lot of potential left. Like, I don't think it's fair to judge him right now and look at the product we see right now and say, oh, this is the same guy that is going to be the finished product down the road.
There's to an extent I agree with you. I think we're in a fair place to judge him though, because he's talking a lot of shit. Like if he was just remaining quiet and going out there and doing his thing, that would be one thing. But he's bringing on this kind of abuse because of the way that he's talking about people. And the issue that I've got with him is, like, I know that he's very young in his career. He's not. This isn't a 23-year-old or 24-year-old prospect we're talking about. He's 28, right? 27, 28. He joined the MMA game really late. His striking against Paul Craig looked shocking. And on top of that, he's not a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner either. So when he kind of cracks into that, somebody in the chat is suggesting somebody like Jack Hermansson being next. When you think about somebody who is, I mean, I know Jack Hermansson doesn't really excel anywhere, but somebody who is literally, not to do a play on here, but a kind of a jack of all trades like he is. I think that could prove to be a really, really difficult test for him, because I think, like, the problem with what you get with some of these wrestlers is that's kind of, it seems to me that's all he's really got when it gets to those upper echelon type situations. I mean, his striking looked great against Val Woodburn, big deal, and it didn't look that great against Cody Brundage, who's a bit of a step up there. And now we've seen him fight Paul Craig, who, let's be fair to Paul Craig, I love Paul Craig. The premier dick slinger that he looks like. But he's not it as well. Like, he's not somebody who you should be having trouble with at this stage. He's a one-trick pony. Paul Craig is, and it was a pretty close fight, all things said. So I don't know from what we're looking at him now, there's every chance that he could, go on to do amazing things. But like I said, he's 28 years old. And he looks like he's got a long way to go in a lot of departments. And from what I've seen so far, and as you said, how stacked middleweight is, I think he's going to struggle. But the UFC is going to do everything they can to give him the best route to get there. So he does have that on his side.
I got a question for both you guys. How much more does his striking have to improve for him to be a threat at middleweight with his wrestling? Because I feel like it doesn't have to get a lot better. It's just got to get a little better since he has such good wrestling.
You can take that one first, Jax.
I think it has to improve in the area of handling different scenarios. Like if you're fighting somebody whose ground game is dangerous, then okay, now what are you going to do? You know, like I feel like right now they are trying to build him up as a fighter and improve him and his different skills. But after you get to a certain level, now it's about scenario training. And he hasn't reached that part to the scenario training. And that's when you start to throw in different techniques, like Max Holloway, when he got to a certain level, he started to throw in, his spinning kick that was decisive in him winning against Justin Gaethje. It's things like that he's not able to put into his game yet because he hasn't reached that level yet. So I think it's just a matter of getting to that level and then starting to add different techniques that are going to be helpful for him specifically. And he's just not there yet. And I don't know who it was that put the Hermanson versus Nickal fight. Like, I don't think that's fair to Hermanson. He just fought a person that was a up and comer, and he did what he was supposed to do as a vet and put Jack or Joe Pyfer in his place. So it wouldn't be fair to match him up against Bo Nickal at this point. Like I don't think that's right. I think that Bo Nickal needs to fight somebody that's outside the rankings, and continue to improve.
I think that's what they'll do with him as well. I think that performance, whatever Bo Nickal thinks of it, I think they're going to look at that and think, yeah, he's still got a long way to go. And to answer your question about the striking thing, I think he needs to. His striking's not flatline god awful, but what I would say is because he doesn't have huge finishing potential outside of either catching somebody, that's pretty much where he's at. Because his jiu-jitsu is not there either. He needs to find a way where he can use his wrestling to put himself in a position where he can finish people. And you find when you get into that top 10, it becomes a whole different ball game. He can do it against the Val Woodburns where he can, if he needs to toss them around, he can. If he can land an overhand right that might starch somebody of that level. But when you start getting into the top 10, and as you said, middleweight's very, very deep now, you need something very, very... You need something special about you in terms of finishing potential. And I don't feel like he's an exceptionally good finisher at anything. He's going to be able to wrestle certain guys, but it's like you said, when he gets to the top 10 is really good now. So it's like, what has he got to show that he can? And we haven't seen him in that situation. And I'm just saying, based on the last two, the Cody Brundage and Paul Craig performances have shown me nothing to suggest that when he gets to those guys, he's going to be able to find that finish. And that's where I'm not worried about him because I don't give a shit about his career, to be perfectly honest. I think the guy's a bit like sanctimonious, if I'm being honest. I don't like when somebody comes in and talks about what he's going to do when he hasn't done anything to show that he's anywhere near that. So I don't really give a damn about his career, but a lot of people seem to. So we'll see. But I'm feeling pretty confident here that he's going to amount to average.
He can make a small change and all of a sudden be a totally different guy. What if he goes and just becomes like this pressure grappler guy and becomes like another like Fluffy Hernandez, just pressure in your face, wrestling on you? Because I think that's something he could implement like very quickly and probably very easily.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's fortunate in that middleweight is not. There's not many amazing wrestlers in middleweight. And the Paul Craig match was a bit of an interesting one. And I know a lot of people talk about his jiu-jitsu. He's basically got a triangle, Paul Craig. And I think a lot of people are wise to that now. I think Bo Nickal could have shown, if he'd at least shown a big takedown threat and gone for a couple, it could have opened up the striking a little bit more. But it was that inexperience factor. It's like he made it very, very clear from 2-3 minutes in. It was very, very clear he's not going for any takedowns.
Yeah.
So it made him look very, very one-dimensional, and that's the thing. Maybe it's an experience that he needed, but again, just come out at the end and say, "All right, there's things I've got to work on." But it was his attitude to the whole thing. It was like when Paddy came out a while ago and was like, everyone was on his side, and then he talked about a couple of his performances, and then said, "Oh, I performed perfectly," and then people were like,
Yeah,
it's the delusion I think people are worried about.
That's a good
And maybe
parallel
he's
right
just
there.
saying it. Yeah, maybe it's just something he's saying. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't believe that, but we'll see. It's concerning. But yeah, we'll see where it goes with him. I like I said, I'm not that invested in his career anyway. But like I said, I feel pretty confident that he's going to be he'll crack the top 10, but he has to be handled in the right way.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, so we might as well, while we're sticking with 309, we might as well have a discussion about Chandler. Now, both of us made videos about this. I think all three of us made videos about this guy this week. Felt like low-hanging fruit. So to expand on that a little bit, what did you guys think of his performance, and what do you think should come next for him?
The layoff was rough. I think he's lost some of his explosiveness. I think he's lost some of the athleticism. And you just can see it looking at me. He's smaller. Like, he's lost some muscle, clearly. Going forward, I really don't know what you do with him. Like, he's definitely got to fight back. I really don't know who you could give to him, honestly. Because I think I think the best days are behind Michael Chandler, in my opinion.
For sure. Definitely. I think he did pretty much exactly what we said he was going to do. I mean, as far as like where he is in his career, I mean, you pretty much nailed it. He's the sunset is very close for him. So, but I do think that there's still viable matchups. It just depends on what he wants to do. Like, he could wait on Conor, which I think would be stupid. He could, fight. One of the people that I suggested was fighting for Zeev. Like, that would be an exciting fight. There's no way that that's boring. You want an extra 50 grand, no matter really what you do that. And then a wild card, depending on something that happens. So Eddie Alvarez is fighting Jeremy Stevens in bare knuckle. If Eddie Alvarez wins, then that's a fight. And you know how the bare knuckle and the UFC are pretty cool, which is rare. They're pretty cool. I could see them doing let me sign a former champion in Eddie Alvarez for a fight to bring him in to fight Michael Chandler. As it's a gimmick fight, but it's not a gimmick fight. It's a violence fight, and ittle be
There's a lot of bad blood there as well. There's so much bad blood between those two.
That would be a low key big fight that they actually could make. But a lot of people are talking about, oh well, Chandler called out Max, and should match him up with Max. I think that's dumb. Max, he doesn't deserve to fight Max. He hasn't won a fight since 2022. In what world should he be fighting up in the rankings? It doesn't even make sense. So I'm not even entertaining Chandler versus Max. That doesn't make sense to me. But I think that those are three viable options. If I were him, I would not even give Conor the time of day until I see movement on his end.
Yeah, I expressed this a little bit in the video. Well, not even a little bit. I think when I went balls deep on how I felt about it. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this guy getting headlining opportunities and getting big name fights out of people. I just think it's a combination of things. It's as you said, it's the cheating that he's the cheating really bothers me. He seems to have done it in every single fight he's been in. It's like you mentioned that he had like a bingo card of things you do inside the cage to cheat, and it's like he was checking them all off.
Yep.
I find that aspect of his game really deplorable. And I think the thing that people hang their hat on most of all is like, oh, well, he's in like really exciting fights. He's getting his fucking ass whooped for the majority of those fights. That's why it's exciting. It's because he's an idiot and he just gets battered that makes it exciting. And I just think to myself, there's so many people who are deserving of opportunities, and it's these gatekeepers that are causing these problems in the division in the first place. So I mean, there's definitely those suggestions you made are certainly exciting fights you could put him in. And again, it's the fact that he's trying to weasel his way into, again, more big fights. He's nowhere near deserving a Holloway fight for the BMF. Nowhere near deserving that. And the Conor fight, it just shows how he just continues to be an extremely dumb human. Like, if he thinks that's going to happen, still, the guy deserves everything that comes to him. But there are some people that pity him for like the 2 years off. He stays off for 2 years and then calls the guy the same name out again. You're an idiot, bro. Like, it's just, I would put him against somebody who's, like I said, exciting and up and coming and just outside that ranking spot. I know they won't because they pay him a lot of money, but you could build a future star from that. It's, like I said, I mentioned names like Ribovich and Rebecki. I'd like to see him fight people like that, where you get like a really good stand-up scrap, but he's on his way out the door, and you've got these young guys who are coming up. I like that as a prospect as well.
I like the Fiziev call by Jax.
Because Fiziev's pretty young as well, and Fiziev's somebody who's deserving of a ranking fight. Very unlucky against Gaethje, could have won that fight, and also got injured against Gamrot, yeah, which was just really unfortunate. So I would say that he's, of all the fights coming up, he's probably the most deserving of, especially as now that Chandler's rooted in that number 7 spot somehow as well. He was in number 7 when he fought his last fight before Oliveira. He's lost 2 fights and he's still number 7. So go figure. But now that he's camped in that spot, somebody who deserves that spot deserves to fight him, and I think Fiziev's probably one of the big ones. So I like that one as well.
Yeah, it's a nice little tune-up fight too. Like for Fiziev, he's been out for a little while. You fight a person that's a little bit older, but still has something to prove. Like it's a good one, because I'm sure Fiziev was probably looking at, either Chandler or Beneil Dariush, who everybody's trying to fight, because it seems like the straggler that everybody's trying to pick off. So why not beat up Chandler and start his little march out of the rankings?
Benny's the get right fight.
It really,
I mean, a lot of people seem to be thinking that.
They think that Benny is no joke.
I'll be careful with that one.
Yeah,
I know he's been bonged out a couple of times, but he's been bonged out earlier on in his career as well.
Yeah,
like, I mean, he got who fought. I mean, after he got like absolutely starched by Alex Hernandez, who thought that Beneil Dariush was going to amount to anything, and then a few fights later, we're talking about shit, man. He might beat MACAU, which was ridiculous. But it's like he was there. I mean, I picked him to beat. I hate admitting this because it reveals what a dummy I am, but I picked him to beat Charles Oliveira.
I don't think it was crazy for you to say that. I mean,
it looks crazy now after the two. At the time, it didn't seem like a dumb thing to say. Yeah. So I'd be careful with that one.
I drank the Kool-Aid too in the Oliveira fight, and it was tough.
Yeah, it tasted sour, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I had him on a closing parlay as well. Yeah, there was no chance of that one ever cashing. Now that I look back on it, it seemed like a good idea at the time, and I think I got him as like he was like a -175 as well. So that's an extra sting. You're counting your money when you got a favorite to close things out. You're like, yeah, Oliveira's done. He just got bad. It did not go that way. But I still think with the time off he's going to have, he'd be a difficult fight for a lot of people. So
yeah, because
he hasn't fought. People should be seeing him.
It's about to be a year that he hasn't fought.
Yeah, December. Yep.
That could be good for him as well. Absolutely. Sometimes a bit of time off is what people need. Yeah, I know he looks like he's 60, but he's all right.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, he lost to the number 1 ranked guy and the number 2 ranked guy. Like, It's not like
He
he's
didn't
not that
he
good,
didn't
bro.
just lose though. He didn't just lose. He
Oh no, I mean, he got
both.
murdered.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It was bad.
Yes.
It was brutal. Do you guys want to have a quick chat about the John Jones situation before we move on to MACAU? Because I'm interested to get what you guys think after the especially now that things are a little bit clearer. We know what's obviously happened with Jones and Miocic, how that went down. I'm sure you guys have got your opinions about how that fight was as well. But based on what Dana has said and what Jones has said, what do you think they do with that whole situation as well?
You know what? Like, I think that it's going to be a time thing, just like Dana said. You know, it's going to take a little while. No, that was Chandler Dop screen. That was good. It's going to be a time thing where they try to figure it out. I mean, I think that what John Jones has done has built up this Tom Aspinall fight. There's no way, like the hardcores would have always been interested because of what we think of Tom Aspinall, but now it's filtered into to the more casuals, because now they're trying to figure out, okay, who's this dude that people keep talking about? Who's this dude that John Jones is refusing to fight? So in reality, John Jones is doing his part in building this fight up. I personally think that he is doing it on purpose. I think he knows exactly what's going on. He's only been in the UFC since he was, 20 whatever years old. Like, he knows how this works. So I think as soon as they get the money where he wants it to be, I think he'll be down to fight him. I never thought that he was scared of him. But I thought that he wanted to make sure that the reward matched the risk. So that's where this is going. But I think that if we're going to get it, it will be International Fight Week next year.
Yeah, I can see that. What do you reckon, Cross?
I definitely agree. I think, dude, people just don't want to realize it. Everything John did last week, like all of it, all it did was put more money in his pocket for when the Aspinall fight gets made. Like him saying he doesn't want to fight him, it only makes the fans want it more. It only gets more interesting. And he's taking the biggest star currently that's active in the UFC, Alex Pereira, and using his star power to only amplify it. And I mean, guys, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And then on the flip side, John knows, like, in the UFC wants this to happen. It's the fight, and they gotta back the Brinks truck up. Like, they gotta pay me my money to make this happen. And I think it will get done. John's a competitor. John's not afraid of Tom Aspinall. This guy's been fighting killers ever since he was 20 years old. Like, that's just nonsense. But it is a great fight. And I definitely, because think about it. Before last week, people weren't up in arms about the Aspinall Jones fight. Like, the hardcores were, but like people that don't really follow the sport like that, they weren't talking about it. But now you got people that tune in to 309 because of John Jones. And now those people are talking about, well, who's this guy that, like, he won't fight, like Jack said? You know what I mean? So I think it was just brilliant.
Yeah, I don't mean to follow the theme that we've had these last couple of weeks where I played a contrarian. I swear to God, I'm not doing it on purpose. I think that's mad, bro. I think he is scared of him. I think he doesn't want. I think everything that's coming out of John. I know that there's an element of wanting to build up the fight and wanting to build up the payday, but I think this all happened accidentally on John Jones's part. I think he genuinely wants the Alex Pereira fight, because bear in mind, this is something he's been saying for well over a year now in regards to Tom Aspinall. He's kind of set his stall out very, very quickly. He knows the threat that he poses, and I think John Jones is weighing up the. I think that, again, I hate referring to Guru as often as I do, but the video he made regarding their potential matchup, I think, was kind of spot on, in that it's kind of bizarre to me how Jones isn't mentioning anything financial when it comes to the Pereira fight, but he seems to be very heavily on that when it comes to any potential matchup with Tom. And when he talks about fuck you money, I think what he's expecting or hoping for is something in kind of the 40 to 50 million range, and he knows fully well that the UFC are not going to give him that. What could potentially happen? I do like the prospect of the Saudis potentially coughing up the cash to make that happen, because I do think that's where we're at with John Jones. He's basically going to be like, look, he knows how dangerous this fight is. And I think he knows to himself, like, look, if I'm going to take it on, it needs to be a figure that he probably thinks the UFC are never going to give him. And I think that's part of what the gamesmanship is all about. I think the pressers were very, very telling in him saying one thing in terms of, I want the Pereira fight or I'm walking away. And then you've got Dana on the other side saying, nah, it's Tom Aspinall or it's nothing. And you will be compensated. That's the fight and you will be compensated for it. So it's very, very clear to me that it didn't seem staged to me from the two of them in that sense. I think that they were genuinely both stating where their stance is at. And I don't think John Jones takes that fight. I think even for the money thing, I think he's saying it merely as he probably thinks, having dealt with him in the past, that if he digs his heels in enough and says it's Alex Pereira or nobody, and then Alex Pereira does the same thing, he'll get that fight. And he knows it's very, very, it's beyond the winnable for him. It's a great matchup for him. He knows exactly what he does to Pereira. And Pereira is a huge star as well. But he's inadvertently made the Tom Wick fight as big by behaving the way that he has. And I don't think the money is gonna matter. I'm with what the chat is saying here. I think if they even offer him the 40 or 50 million, he won't take it. I think it's all posturing at this point. I think he knows what the threat is, and I don't think he wants any. I'm gonna be real. He knows what time it is.
Yeah, I guess
think about look at his entire career. You don't want that fight.
I don't think he's scared of him. I don't think so. But I mean, we won't know. We won't know. I mean, as far as them posturing, from the press conference, I do believe that is where the negotiation starts. Give me the easy fight, but pay me more. And then they meet in the middle somewhere where, because Dana said, he'll be paid, he'll be compensated. What does that mean? There's no dollar figure on that. Of course he's gonna get paid. They all get paid to fight. So I think there is a negotiation that's a major part of it, and that negotiation started as soon as that spinning back kick landed. But I don't believe that John is scared of Tom. I think he realizes the threat for sure. How can you not? Dude, he's putting people down in the first round. Dangerous, scary dudes. But I don't think that makes John fear him. But at the same time, he realizes that there's a high risk in fighting Tom. And if I have to negotiate and use the media to negotiate to get where I want to monetarily, then I'm gonna do that. John's smart, man. For all the stupid things that he's done, John is smart. And I think this is a part of it.
I don't think he's scared of Tom necessarily. I think he's scared of losing to Tom. And there is a difference between the two. I don't think he's scared of the man. I think he's scared of the potential of what could happen. If that makes sense.
It does. I think the opposite, bro. I think John absolutely wants to fight Tom Aspinall. I think he wants to shut everybody up. I think he wants to ruin the party, be that guy, walk out of the octagon, say, I told you so to everybody and prove everybody wrong and be the heel. And I think that's what he wants. I mean, yeah, I think it's a lot of smoke and mirrors with everything saying, oh, I don't want to fight, blah, blah, blah. He knows what the people want. And at the same time, he knows you gotta have the threat of not giving the people what they want to make them want it more, get you a little bit more money. Because at the end of the day, if he gets in there with Aspinall and he beats Aspinall, it's gonna be a lot of upset people, because a lot of people don't want to see John go in there and beat Aspinall. Frankie, how would you feel if John beat Aspinall? Be honest.
I'd be unhappy, but like it's not. You know, we've all got like our favorite, but I'd respect John for taking the fight, and I'd be like, you know, the only reason why I've built up such a, because I used to be a big John Jones fan, like Jackson knows this as well. Like when we first started on this channel, on the channels, I used to speak very, very highly of John Jones. And the reason why I don't entirely buy into what you're saying is because he's constantly downplaying Tom as if he doesn't even deserve to be at the table. That's the issue that I have. If you're trying to build the fight, he's almost saying like, "Oh, he doesn't even deserve this fight with me. I want guys who are like legacy fights and this and that. He doesn't even, you know, this guy's just a flash in a pan kind of thing." And I think if you're trying to build the fight, that's not the best way to do it. In my opinion, it's like, I don't know. I don't love that side of it. I think it doesn't happen. I'm gonna be real. I reckon he walks away from a lot of money, and he ends up getting. I think the Pereira fight is possible, because even Dana like folding back a little bit and saying, "Oh well, if Pereira and Jones badger me," I didn't like that coming out of him either as well. Because I think Dana knows that Aspinall and Jones is the fight to make. He knows that. It's probably the biggest fight the UFC would have ever done. But even him conceding that point of, oh well, if Alex and Jones were all over me, I'd give it to them. I don't know, man. I don't like the way that's coming out, and I think that could be what they end up doing. Because if Alex Pereira digs his heels in, Alex Pereira is a huge star now as well. And if John Jones digs his heels, if they both adamantly say, "I'm not fighting anybody else but each other," that's the way it goes down. I reckon. I don't know. I don't like the way it's coming out. I think what they've said to Tom Aspinall, because Tom Aspinall seems very, very hopeful. He had a meeting with them directly after UFC 309, and they've clearly said to him, "Look, if we've got to pay him 20 or 30 million, we'll do it." And we know that there's a big disparity between what the UFC consider a lot of money to be and what John Jones considers fuck you money to be. Because I think it will be more even than what he asked for to fight in Garny.
More than
I think we're talking 40, 50 million is what it's going to take to get him to take this fight, I reckon. And the UFC ain't going to give him that. I don't know. I don't love it.
I don't know. This is one of those we can't solve it situations. We got to wait and see how it shakes out. And it's crazy that it affects two different divisions. Because if Alex, digs his heels in, then now you got Ankalaev over here like, well, what am I supposed to do? And then, John Jones will be holding up the division for another year. So I don't know, man. I mean, I hope it gets figured out soon. But I don't know.
It's a problem because there's no other options for Tom Aspinall. Who do you put him against now? There's no, you can wait for Gon and you can wait for Gon.
If Gon beats Volkov, it'll be Gon.
You can get, but then Gon got absolutely annihilated by Jones. He's still got that stink of that on him.
Exactly.
So that's the problem. He would need to go out there and be amazing to make that even in any way interesting.
I got a way. This could have all been settled months ago. All it would have taken was for Tom Aspinall to have been like, Alex Pereira, come up here and fight me for the interim heavyweight title. And if Aspinall had to beat Pereira, there would have been this conversation would not be happening. This could have been settled months ago. That's all Aspinall had to do. Like, oh, I'll fight you at UFC 307. We can fight for the interim heavyweight title at UFC 307.
It could still be settled.
The UFC have played this so badly. They've played this so badly. Because now you can't strip John Jones because he's saying he's not retired and he's just defended. So he's in play, whatever way you like. They could have done this they could have just said, fuck it, you haven't fought for a year. And we talked about this multiple times. It should be, if you don't defend for a year, you get stripped.
Yep.
It's that simple. And they could have just laid this, so they could have put John Jones in a much weaker position. And she'd be like, all right, yeah, you can fight Stipe, we'll give you your money, but it's not for the belt. Tom Aspinall's the champion. And then it gives, because I don't think Pereira really cares about Jones or Aspinall either way. I think Pereira wants a third belt, and he might as well go for it at his age. I don't think he cares who it's against. Yeah, and John Jones has the title.
I agree with that.
Because if Pereira comes out and says he wants to fight John Jones, the fights get made. Like we all can feel how we want to feel. If Pereira comes out and says he wants to fight John Jones, because John's already said he wants to fight Alex, that's literally all it will take, and the fight will get made, because it just would be too much money.
Yeah, and they run the whole prospect as well, like, because I think most of us who know the game quite well, and it's being spoken about in the chat a bit as well. We all know what John Jones would do to Alex Pereira. We all know what Tom Aspinall would do to Alex Pereira, and that's not shitting on the guy. This is a guy who was getting taken down by Michaeladis 2 years ago, and we're gonna put him in there against John fucking Jones or Tom Aspinall. His name should not be in the equation. The way that the Alex Pereira thing gets elevated up, you put him, if he goes in there against Muhammad Ankalaev and like stops him from wrestle fucking him the way that we all could pretend, then I'm like, okay, then all right, now we can talk about him, and then we're talking. Yeah. But until I see that, I'm like, I'm not interested. I don't think anyone who's the casuals certainly will be, and that's the issue we've got here. But that base of hardcores that tune into cards every weekend, there's only one fight we want to see, and I think it's in a lot of danger right now with Jones being such a massive pussy. Keep it real. you guys can say what you want, man. I think he's an absolute vagina out here. And I think that's how he's rolling.
Your line of thinking is the most popular line of thinking for sure. I would definitely agree with that. Most people, I mean, I'm seeing it in the chat too. Like, most people think that way. And it remains to be seen on whether y'all are right or we're right. We're just not going to know what they're trying to do.
It's probably going to take like 6 months to shake out as well, because that's another problem.
I got another question. What if we get the Alex Ankalaev fight, right? And let's say Alex wins by KO and Ankalaev doesn't wrestle. We're still going to be in the same spot. Like, well, we don't know if he really can do it. We will, and potentially it could happen.
Well, the thing is that I don't mind that as much, because then Alex has cleaned out his division for sure. Then it's done, and then he has a right. I mean, I personally think he's got a right to fight at heavyweight now. I do believe that, but I don't think it should be. I don't think John Jones should be dictating it after the way that he's stalled the division for as long as he had. And the fact that we have an interim, it's more on John Jones. I think Betty's alluding to this as well. This is on John Jones because Tom Aspinall is the interim champion and he's defended the interim belt. This is fucking ridiculous. To turn around and have like an interim, bear in mind, we have an interim champion because you pulled out and because you were inactive. I know you got injured or whatever, but we have that interim champion because a direct result of what you were doing. So like, it's ridiculous. He should be fighting. The fact that we're even having this conversation is mental. We have an interim champion who's not only got an interim belt, but defended it. And you're going, no, I want the other guy from the other division who hasn't even cleared out the last guy. It's fucking retarded, mate. This whole thing is stupid. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. John Jones should be fighting Tom Aspinall. Alex Pereira should be fighting Muhammad Ankalaev. And that's the fact that Jones has even got us talking about this. This proves what a slippery little fucker he is. Do you know what I mean?
He is slippery, dude. He is slippery. And the thing is like the negotiations are like this. John, Dana, Hunter, Sean, they're in the room negotiating with the door closed. Tom's sitting outside, holding on to that belt. And whatever they say inside their room, when they open up the door, that's what they're going to tell Tom to do. So that's the way this whole thing is going. And the door's closed and we don't know what's going on.
Has he been officially stripped of that belt? I assume he has. He's no longer interim champion, right?
No. He still got it. He still got it. You know how it normally goes, right? As soon as the champion goes in there and fights, the interim belt goes away. But that is not the case here. But that shows that they respect Tom. They respect Tom and what he's done. They respect him so much that they are going to allow him to do whatever they say is going to happen.
It makes sense. I mean, because let's be real. Like Jones is on his way out. Alex Pereira is relatively. I mean, Alex Pereira's probably got 2 or 3 fights left. You would assume he's older 37 years old.
Yeah, he's older than Jones.
He's older than Jones. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look as long in the tooth as Jones does. Let's be real.
Yeah, little less nose candy. That's all.
Yeah, That's a fair point. But he needs to be looking at like, because if they play this wrong, they could fuck up everything. Be like, you fucking up your future guy, and then you're also glazing people who are on their way out the door. So it could be they could ruin 2 divisions potentially here if they play it really badly.
So here's my question, y'all. Here's my question before we jump off of this.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, 2025, November 21st, 2025, who's going to be the heavyweight champion?
It'll be John Jones.
Oh yes, put his feet to the fire. Put his feet to the fire.
Do you know how he's gonna be champion? I'll tell you this now, bro. Yeah, he's gonna be saying, I can foresee this. It's gonna be the same thing that we predicted last year. Do you remember where he's like, he's either not gonna fight or he's gonna have a fight booked and then he's gonna pull out. And I think it's gonna be that. I don't think he's gonna beat Tom, for example. The reason why I think he's gonna be champion is because I think he's either gonna get the Alex Pereira fight, or he's going to stall it out for as long as he can. And we talked about Spite as well.
Yeah.
He won't just walk away and leave the belt on the table because he doesn't want Tom to pick it up either. Because this is the kind of guy that we're dealing with. And that's what I think we get. I think he either presses hard as he can for the Alex Pereira fight, and we get that in the middle of next year, or he doesn't get it, and then he maybe agrees to fight Tom and then pulls out, fucks around, and then disappears off into the sunset. He's a scumbag. Why are we shocked?
Oh,
you guys seem surprised that I'm suggesting that he's an absolute like arsehole.
I mean,
like, what do you mean, John Jones?
That's funny.
Cheddarhead summed it up as well as I possibly could. There we are. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I do think John Jones won't be beaten because he's too. He won't take him. He's not going to take the fights that he should fight. He should take, and that's where we'll be left. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I know how this guy operates. It's the smart thing to do. I'll be honest. If I was John, and I'm being real, for all the shit talking I've given you, I'm being honest here. Yeah, if I was John Jones, I wouldn't fight Tom Aspinall either. It's too risky.
If I were John Jones, I don't know if I would play this particular game, but I'd fight him. You know, why not? But I will want to get paid. Like, I will want all the money.
I mean, if he gets offered 50 or 60 million, I mean, that's generational money. You take it in that instance, and you roll the dice, because at the end of the day, John Jones is one of the best, probably one of the best, if not the best fighters ever.
Yeah,
you could get it done. I'm not saying John Jones can't beat Tom Aspinall. Mm-hmm. I'm saying he's scared and that he doesn't want it. That's what I'm saying.
I got a question.
I'm saying that he won't take it.
If you were John Jones and you could get, I don't know, $5 million to fight Tom, or you get $20 million to fight Alex, which fight would you take?
Both.
me right now sitting around here, I'll take both.
I'll take my money, and but I want Alex first, though. I want Alex first, though.
Wait, do you mean? Of course, he's going to take 20 million to fight Alex rather than 5 million to fight Tom. Of course, he is. Tom is the way more dangerous fight. If it was the other way around, I guarantee you, this is the fucked up thing about it. If the UFC said to him, right, you get 5 million to fight Alex, or you get 30 million to fight Tom, he'd fight Alex. He's a puss.
Yeah, he's either.
That's what I genuinely think would happen.
Why would you not fight the easier fight for more money? War Black Betty put something in the chat. He said Jones ain't getting paid 30 million, not even half that. Bro, he got about half.
I don't think so either.
Fight. He got about 15 million. When you put it all together, he got about 15 million for this fight that just happened. So, like, 30 million.
He's not getting Conor McGregor. He's not getting 30. Unless the Saudis step in and say, fuck it, we'll pay the fight person. Yeah, he's not getting that. UFC, there's no way the UFC is paying him 30 million.
He won't get 30 straight up. it'll be 30 when you put it all together. You know, like
No, but he
you
won't
get,
do that either. John Jones is going to demand probably 30, 40 million up front, and then whatever he gets. He's looking to get like, when he says fuck you money, he's thinking 30, 40, and then like guaranteed, and then walking away with pay-per-view points as well. And he's not going to get anywhere near that. This fight doesn't happen in my mind. I'm sorry to keep stamping that through. I just don't think so. I don't see it.
we shall see.
We shall see.
We will. We will.
Good to see you boys in the action, Jackson. Dougie's corner. Good to see you guys up in here. Let's get to talking about MACAU then. What fight do you guys want to start with?
Oh man.
I love the start time, by the way.
Of course.
We know. We know you love the start time. We know.
I like the start time too. For that side of the world.
I thought you meant you're just gonna wake up anyway. Yeah, I thought you just because you're gonna wake up in the morning anyway and watch it on replay.
Yeah, it ain't gonna be no different. That's all. But it does show that y'all are super dedicated, man. Y'all are super dedicated.
Yes.
I ain't got that kind of.
Yeah, and to be fair, it shows it when you come over here. Betty will tell you this as well. Like when you come over here and you get like a live crowd in the UK, we move differently. Like the atmosphere here is unbelievable. We're real fight fans out here, motherfuckers. All right, so in terms of MACAU, then who do you want to discuss first? Because I don't want to go over all the fights on the card. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't know who half these fuckers are. Not even close. Like I know that a lot of them are like Road to the UFC fighters. I don't watch Road to the UFC. Yeah, I don't care if that makes me a casual. I don't watch that.
No. They don't really advertise it as much either over here.
I didn't even know it was on. I'll be honest. Yeah. I had no idea. So we can
talk about the Volkan Ozdemir versus Carlos Oberg fight.
Yeah,
that'd be a good one to start with. That'd be a good one. What do you guys reckon?
What you got, Jax? No, you got it, brother.
I was about to throw it to you. I was about to throw it to you. Okay. All right. All right. So, like this fight, man, Carlos Oberg is up against it in this fight, dude. Because, Volkan Ozdemir is a lot better than people give him credit for. I feel like first of all, I love his nickname. Like No Time, like that's such a dope nickname, dude. But dude, when he first came into the UFC, he made a lot of noise, made his way to a title, got his ass whooped, but then like since then he's acquired new skills. And most people that after they fight for a belt, they don't start acquiring new skills. And he's done that. I think he's a way more well-rounded fighter than he was. And I feel like this is putting Carlos in a situation to where he's going to show where he's evolved. After he fought Kennedy Zachuku and lost, he started on his run. But I haven't seen an evolution of all of his skills. I've seen the evolution of his mindset where he's a little bit more patient in picking his spots and picking his shots, but I haven't seen an evolution of his skills. And so like this is going to tell me whether his skills have evolved against somebody who's been in a situation where their skills needed to evolve. But this is hard, man. I want Carlos to win. I really want Carlos to win. But just everything that I just said makes me lean towards Volkan Ozdemir.
Interesting. What do you reckon, Cross?
I really like this fight, boys. I think starting out, Oberg is gonna frustrate Volkan quite a bit with his movement, just because he so many feints. He's a longer fighter. He fights at range very well. Got a very crisp jab, and then that left hook is just waiting for you to overextend, make a mistake, and he just puts that left hook on you and puts you down. But I just see Volkan getting a bit frustrated because Oberg is going to be moving so much, and he's done that to a few guys he's fought recently. And I think Oberg is going to be the faster guy as well. And I just think Oberg is going to be piecing them up. And then Oberg is just going to have to walk through some fire to get to him. and he's gonna have to try and find a way to slow Oldberg down, because eventually that's how Kennedy got him. He just had to walk through a little bit, because Oldberg was winning the fight, and then Oldberg got a little fatigued and started slowing down, and then Kennedy put him on the cage and then finished him. So I think for Volkan, he would have to do something similar, but I definitely like what Oldberg's been doing. The composure has improved tremendously, just like Jax was saying. And I like his game a lot.
Yeah, I kind of like where both of you are coming from. I do think the Vulcan's very underrated. There was a time when he was looking really scary in that division, and he has shown improvements over his last few fights. People do cite the Allberg fight as, especially the one where he fought Nezuchukwu as an issue, but a lot of people forget in that fight that Allberg was beating the absolute shit out of him for the majority of that fight, and pretty much gassed his way out. It was one of those ones where he couldn't quite get the finish. He got a little bit overzealous and just completely gassed out. And I mean, he dominated the first 2 rounds, looked great. So I don't really use that as an outlier. I think it was one of those ones where you need to learn from it. I also like the fact that with this being in Macau, it's going to be in a very similar time zone to what he's used to in Australia. And, so there's that element to it as well. It's not that long a trip for him as well. I think it's a 5-hour flight from what I remember. Same time zone. I think Allberg's going to show out in this one. And I'm not shitting on Volkov for this one, but I think this will remain. If Ozdemir is smart, he will apply those things you're saying, a lot of dirty tactics in terms of keeping things against the cage, drain them out a little bit. I don't know if he's going to get the opportunity to do that. I think Carlos Allberg's going to beat the brakes off him, to be perfectly honest. And I can see this being another step towards getting towards title contention, which is probably what you want with this guy.
I really
TKB
hope he
guy.
Does. Yeah.
Bro,
if he beats him, he's one fight away from a title shot. If he beats him, he's one fight away. And they might give it to him just for fun.
Yeah.
I personally think an Oldberg Alex Pereira fight would be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it's a great fight though. I mean, I think it's the right fight for Carlos Allberg at this stage. I think when they were pushing him up into fighting Jamal Hill and fights like that, when that was being talked about, I thought that was a little bit too soon. I think this is the right level fight for him to see where he's at. And I think given the circumstances, I think he passes the test really, really well. So I'm going to go with an Allberg win. I think it's going to be big. I think it's going to be a big showing out for him. And I like him in this one. And that's not me shitting on Volkan. I think Volkan's really good, but I think this will be stand up, and I think it will be done in a round, personally. So I'm gonna go with.
Dang, crossover. Do you see Sean Moody? He's talking a little cash.
Oh yeah, I see him. This past card, he did pretty good, and he took a little bit of a lead because I was in front of him. But it's all good though. Moody, don't worry. I'm gonna get you. Don't you worry.
No chill coming with the big pun lines there as well. All right. So what's what do you want to what fight do you guys want to talk about next?
Well, I know how Jax is about WMMA, and I think both of us really like Wayne Kong. Just saying, bro. Like that entrance into the UFC. It's one of the best debuts you'll see.
Yeah. I don't think we need to go too much into that one. I think I'm expecting her to do really well. I mean, this is a woman with like her kickboxing credentials are insane. She holds a win over Shevchenko. She's obviously entered the organization, as well as you can. I'm expecting and being in that part of the world as well with that crowd. She's got all the decks entirely in her favor. I don't know that much about her opponent.
Gabriela Fernandez.
Whatever, bro. Whatever.
Lala, you're very right.
He don't.
I tried. I couldn't give a fuck. Really couldn't care less.
She's gonna knock that girl out, man.
Mm-hmm.
She is.
Yeah, it's gonna be brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hope
Yeah.
that's what happens, and she gets to, gets more
Women's
attention.
MMA. Yeah, women's MMA needs it. We need some people we can put. I mean, still don't care, but some of you seem to. So fuck it. Yeah, I think
You
Wang
might.
Kong. I mean, she's gonna be on everyone's. I very rarely bet on women's MMA, but she's in my parlay. I'm not even gonna pretend that she's not, because I think she's a lock.
Just as a win or as a certain win.
I've just got her. So I don't trust women that much. I don't trust any woman that much. She'll win. I'm not going for no knockout. You crazy? You out of your mind. She could go in there and lay an egg. Like, we don't know. I'm not
Possible.
that trusting. It's my money, bro. You crazy? Women are my money.
True.
You crazy?
Don't go together, huh?
Hell
No,
no.
but the next fight is the Song Kanon against Muslim Salikov. And that's an interesting fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this. I
Cool.
like this fight as well.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I'm not really sure how to go on that one. I think I'm leaning more towards Salikov. I think. But I don't really have a strong reason why. Like Salikov is, I didn't realize he was as old as he is, man.
Mm-hmm.
He looks it too.
And well, it's hard to tell sometimes with some of the Dagestans. Like, they be living a rough life over there. I'm like,
Yeah,
dang.
their 6-year-olds look 60 and that. Yeah, I see what
Man.
you're saying. It's a bit
Yeah,
mad over
working
there.
in coal mines or what? I don't know what they do over there, bro. But it's rough.
Bro, they up on that mountain, dog, carrying rocks
every day. Rock farmers. I don't know what they do,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know, man. I think I'm leaning Muslim Salikov on that one for no real reason. I think. Well, I talked to Max Griffin. I actually just posted that interview that I had with him, and we talked about a song a little bit, and I guess maybe that's stuck in my head as far as why I don't think that he would win that fight. But yeah, I'm leaning towards Salikov.
Yeah, so it's a tough fight for me because I think Salikov, like I think he'll be kind of explosive in that first round. And I think that's when he'll be his most dangerous. But as he starts to get a little bit fatigued, because I mean, he is 40 and he starts to slow down a little bit, I think that's when Song Kanon can get back into the fight. Because Song Kanon, he gets hit a lot. Like he takes a lot of damage. I kind of was back and forth on it, but I ended up leaning with Song Kanon.
Yeah, this one's kind of because I'm not sure how much I believe in. I mean, I do think Salikov is good, but Kung Fu is a little bit goofy to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it don't feel real.
Yeah, I don't feel real at all. I mean, Salikov is decent, and I mean the age thing does come into it. Again, it's going to be in Song Kanan's neck of the woods as well. I do think the home advantage thing is going to be big as well. I'm kind of with what I do like about Salikov is he does have the ability to like make things dirty against the fence as well. He's not afraid of putting on a show at this point. He's just looking to get as much win bonuses as he can, and I think Song Kanan's in more of a position where he needs an explosive win to keep himself in the UFC because he's coming off a couple of losses as well. I know they're against good competition, but he could be getting his marching orders if he doesn't show out here. Whereas I think Salikov is just seeing this as one more payday, which could be a problem. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with Salikov by decision, but it's a tough one to call.
Yeah, it is. Do you have that in any of your parlays?
I've got Salikov. Yeah, I just feel like I think at the odds I kind of like it. I think he's good. I think Song Kanan's decent as well. I mean, he did he put up a very good show against Ian Garry, had him wobbled there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. He's a good fighter. And again, he's not exactly young himself either. You got to remember that.
Yeah, he's 34.
The thing is of Kanando, he's been in so many fights, and he's been hurt a lot more than Salikov has.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like I said, the age thing doesn't I think people forget about that quite often. There's 34, and then there's are you 34 in fighting years?
Yeah,
And
that's
I think
very
Kanan's one
different.
of those guys Kanan's one of those guys who's taken a few beatings. So yeah. And I mean, he is tough. So I mean, Action Jackson's making a good point here. It's like he is a tough person to finish. I don't expect to
Yeah.
see a finish in this one. I think it'll be a great fight. I can see it being a war, an old man war. But I'm just tipping Salikov. I think he's a little bit slicker, as goofy as Kung Fu is. I think he'll
Yeah.
touch him up a little bit more. A tough one though. And as Betty said, Salikov has slowed down quite considerably. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Yeah.
So the next one, co-main event, Yan Xiaonan against Tabitha Ricci. Another women's fight, but this one's a little different. This one's got, I think this one has a little bit more interest.
It's different when there's. It's like I said. There's difference when it's different when there's cake involved. I'm willing to have this discussion.
Yeah, we have had this one, but how do y'all see that one?
I think Xiaonan is gonna get it done for me. I think her boxing is better than Richie's. I do like how Richie's been fighting a bit more aggressive in her last fight. I do like that, but I think her technical striking for me isn't quite there yet. And Jan's footwork with how much she moves, and she was very much in the fight with Wei Li, very much in the fight. So, and I know Uriah Faber is definitely going to have a good game plan for her going in. So, yeah, I'm going Yan Xiaonan by decision.
What do you reckon, Jax?
I think Yan Xiaonan's going to beat the brakes off this girl. I think that Tabitha Ricci is not a strawweight. I think she's an atom weight, and she just happens to be an atom weight with a better grouping of skills than Karate Hottie did when she tried to do this similar situation. So that's why she's been able to move up the rankings the way that she has. Plus, she fought Angela Hill, who is good but doesn't make her pay for being a smaller person. And then she fought Tisha Torres, Pennington, whatever, who is pretty much a atom weight herself. Those two wins didn't do what they happened to boost her in the rankings for. So I feel like now she's fighting a real strawweight, a big one at that, who could really be a flyweight. And that size difference, it's going to be immediate. We're going to see it immediately. And Tabitha's punches aren't going to mean shit to Yan Xiaonan. She's going to walk through all that, and she's going to beat her ass.
I fully agree.
I mean, I wouldn't bet on a finish, but I could see it.
Yeah, because Richie is dog tough. Like she has taken a bit of a. She has taken a bit of a. I was gonna say a pounding. I don't want to use my words carefully. I'm gonna be thinking about something else completely.
Your mind went straight there.
I think I might be bricked up again, bro.
Hey, his mind went straight there. He couldn't get off that word. He was just stuck on that word.
I do love the fact that she's with an Irishman, by the way. I'm just gonna throw that in there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with Jax on this one. Like, if you look at the fight that Xiaonan had, and I think Wei Li is pound for pound the best women's fighter on the planet right now. And she gave, I know she lost in different, she technically lost 3 ways in that fight, but she was in the fight the entire time. She made it hard for Wei Li. She could have been tapped out if the fight had been 10 seconds longer in the first round. She could have been knocked out in the second round. She was getting pounded on, and then obviously she then went on to lose the decision. But the size disparity in that one really showed out. It was like it enabled her to be in the fight for a lot longer than she could be. And I actually don't think that Richie's that good. I don't see where she's going to win the fight against Xiaonan. She's not. She's nowhere near as powerful. She's not a better striker, and she's not going to be able to manhandle her. I think this is going to be a beating. I legit do. I think she's going to fuck her up. And I think it's going to be a case of if Richie gets to the end, it's going to be a thing of she's going to have years taken off her life. It'll be one of those ones where we look at it and we're like, wow, she's dog tough. And that's what we're going to be saying about. That's the only positive thing I see coming out of this for Richie. I think this is a terrible matchup for her.
Yeah, that is not what you want to hear at the end of your fight is, man, you're tough.
Man, you're tough. Yeah. And that's what they're
going to You know what that means. Yeah, nah, man. Yeah. She's good. She's just not this good.
Yeah, I'm with that as well. And I mean, I do hope it's a great fight, and I do think there are going to be moments. I think that first round's going to be nice, but once Yan Jonan starts touching her up, she's got everything. She's got everything in her advantage. It's like Action Jackson saying, she's got the advantage up. She's got the home advantage. She's gonna have the crowd behind her, and she's got every physical advantage as well. And she's been. Imagine going in there with Zhang Wei Li, and then fighting Richie. Bro, she's gonna feel like she's fighting a fucking child in there.
Yeah,
like legit. Because Wei Li is unbelievably good, and she was able to make it to 5 with her. Yeah, I don't see good things for Richie. I'm sorry to say.
No, it won't be close. I don't think it'll be close.
Yeah, credit to her for taking the fight though, because it's a tough one. I doubt she's getting that much money for it, and this can't be a I get that you take opportunities when they're presented to you, but isn't she coming off a loss as well, Richie? I don't even know how this fight's happening.
No,
I want to say she won a close decision against Angela Hill that could have went either way.
Oh yeah, and Angela Hill definitely could have won that fight. Yeah, I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. Fuck
nope.
It. Yeah, I'm going Zhang by life altering beating. I'm going for it. It could go free.
It could.
I'm not gonna, because Richie is tough, but she's gonna get her ass whipped.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be pretty.
All right, so main event: Peter Yan versus Deiveson Figueiredo.
It's an easy one for me. I don't know about you boys.
I was like, is this a tough fight to pick? Like, is it? Okay, crossover.
No, I don't think so.
What do you think? What do you think on this one?
Man, it wasn't tough for me. I'm going Peter Yan, man. Like 5-round fight, download some data. I think with Figgy, since he's went up to bantamweight, like he's definitely used his grappling a lot more. But I think after Yan has seen Figgy doing this in 3 fights at bantamweight, Jan's going to be prepared for it. So I don't think it's going to be as effective for Figgy. And then Jan's boxing is just nasty in my opinion, and I think Jan's definitely going to get a decision win here for me.
You reckon, Jax?
I mean, this is Peter Yan's fight to lose. I mean, there's no. What can Deiveson Figueiredo do to him? Like, sure, Deiveson Figueiredo can wrestle, but he don't chain wrestle the way that Merab does. And that's where Peter has issues when somebody puts that kind of pressure on him. Deiveson Figueiredo don't put that kind of pressure with his grappling. He can grapple. Yeah. He's very good, but he don't put that kind of pressure. And then you go to the striking, his one touch or one punch knockout power, I don't see it at this weight. I haven't seen it up to this point. Not to say that he can't strike, because he can strike very, very well.
He did drop Cheeto.
And there was a banana peel or something in there. But I mean, I don't see the punching power consistently, I'll say, at this weight class. So if you can't grapple Peter and you can't knock him out with a punch, or at least hurt him very, very badly, what is Figueiredo going to do? Like he's got nothing. Peter's gonna beat him up. I think both of these, the co-main and the main, are gonna be one-sided.
They're gonna be beat. Yeah, I can potentially see that as well. I'm definitely on the side of Piotr as well. Again, looking at Figgy's career at bantamweight, I know the Rob Font lost win does look a little bit better, like than it did at the time. but he beat Garbrandt, which doesn't mean anything to me. And I thought he was actually losing to what's his face, Vera. I thought he was losing to him until he knocked him down in the third. I thought he won the first round pretty clearly, and then Vera started to take over. And I think Vera got a little bit too comfortable and got caught a little bit in that third round. But he was on his way to winning a decision there, which I don't think looks good. I think Piotr's just better everywhere. He's had the requisite time off, and people forget how good Piotr was. The O'Malley fight again looks a little bit better in hindsight. He obviously beat Corey as well, which was an incredible, everyone knows how highly I rate Corey. I'm with you guys. I don't see where Figgy can win this. I don't like his cardio. I don't think he's powerful enough at bantamweight. And this is a significant step up from anyone he's fought ever, I think, outside of Brandon Moreno, and that was obviously a completely different weight situation. I think Piotr Jan's going to beat the fuck out of him. I think the first round will be close. They'll be, tapping away. And I think Piotr takes over from there. And I quite like him to finish the fight a bit later. I can see him winning and, I can see Figgy being exhausted by the time the fourth or fifth round comes about. And getting just an exhaustion-based TKO where he just gets broken down over the course of a fight. I like a late Yan finish, fourth or fifth round. That's where I'm going to go.
Yeah, I would agree. Not to mention, Peter Yan is 5 years younger than Deiveson Figueiredo.
Nope.
So he's the younger man as well. So that has to factor in. I
mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it went to, like as Lane's suggesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if it went to the scorecards either. I just think Yan has every advantage. The time off he's had, the strength advantage he's probably going to have, the cardio advantage he's going to have. I like Yan in this one. And I think the odds are good on it as well. I think you can get pretty good. I mean, I think it's like minus 175 or something. I really like that. I think he's someone you've got to have on those parlay cards this weekend. And he gets to scoop up all that work that Figgy's done to establish himself in the division and put himself right back there, which is where I think he should be. No, I like it. I've got Yan winning this one.
So, for the winner, do you think that this is a title eliminator? The number one contender fight?
The reason why I think it could be is because this is what I'm talking about, scooping up his work, because you feel like if Figgy wins, he probably deserves it. So if Figgy wins, he probably gets a title fight. Because it would be his fourth win at bantamweight. He's a former champion. It would be cruel to not give it to him at this point. But if Yan wins, I don't know. I think Yan might need one more. And it depends on the nature of the win, because we know how this business works. If either guy goes out and knocks the other one the fuck out, you're suddenly in that conversation of like you're the. And I think especially as Betty's saying, in Figgy's case, there's no doubt that like he's done enough to deserve something from this. Being a former champion and winning 3 fights in a weight class above, this has got to be an eliminator for him. But I think Yan's a little bit of a way off. That's where I'd call it.
Well, I definitely think Umar should definitely get the next title fight. That's the fight that has to happen at bantamweight. After that, though, I think Figgy wins. Definitely, he's next up for the title fight. If Yan wins, it gets a little murky there, because I mean, maybe you can do the O'Malley rematch, and then he could get a title fight with a win. But for Figgy, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with Betty on this one. I'm just down.
I agree. I agree. Figgy for sure. Like if he beats Peter Yan, like
Piotr Yan deserves a title shot. 100%.
What else do you need to see? But for Yan, it's almost like he would be a wild card if things fell a certain way. I feel like he could fight for a title next. But the thing is like if he beats Figueiredo, who's in the top 5, then he's already beat Corey. Umar would be fighting for the belt. Sean is the only one left.
Yeah, I think the weird thing is with the Umar situation, it's weird because you remember when the Corey fight was made, I was real pissed off about that because I felt that Umar didn't deserve the Corey fight at the time. But now that he's won it and he's won it in the way that he won it, I feel like he does deserve to be where he's at. It's like when Sean, I know he didn't beat Piotr in a lot of people's eyes, but when he got that Piotr Jan fight and then won it on paper, you deserve that bump up because even if you didn't deserve to have that fight at the time, you went in there, you made it competitive. You can argue that you won it. It changes things. Whereas with the Corey fight, I thought that Corey was going to be way too good for Umar. And the fact that I was proven wrong is kind of irrelevant, I guess. The fact that Umar went out there and did it the way that he did it, he deserves that step up. And I think that's what's weird about this fight between Figgy and Jan, because it has different implications, I feel, for both of them. And it does very much depend on, as I said, how either of them win this fight, because at the end of the day, it's about catching, and especially in a division as well, where you do have viable contenders coming up. And it is a division that's very, very stacked. I think the nature of the wins becomes that much more important.
True.
Than the wins themselves.
True. I think I personally would give a title shot to whoever wins, because I don't think that Sean O'Malley is healthy. And that's the only person that I would match Peter Yan up with if he won. But I think that he's going to be out, with the whole hip injury. And then everybody else in the top 5, he will have either they're fighting for the belt, which will be Umar, or he beat him. So
and it's worth mentioning as well. We remember what happened the last time, because I'm just addressing Dougie's point a little bit here. We remember what happened the last time Jan fought Merab. I think Merab being the champion is a big problem as well in terms of where Jan is. Because with Figgy, you can say, well, Figgy hasn't fought Merab. We don't know how. We all know how it would probably go, but we haven't seen it. So it's like, whereas we've seen Jan got destroyed in that fight.
He did.
It was a 5-round. Nobody wants to see that shit again.
But
we know exactly what we're going to get.
To me, that's assuming that Merab beats Umar. And I think that fight is a foregone conclusion. Like, that is the fight to do next. And this fight determines who fights the winner of that fight. Like, I'm okay with seeing Peter fight Merab again. I just wouldn't want that as the headliner of something. It could be co-main. I need you to attach that to something else.
Yeah. I still think it's going to be an interesting fight. I mean, Figgy's no scrub. And like, again, we'll see. Again, we could be very much proven wrong. I mean, this is not a bum we're talking about. And I think there are very strong implications for both of them. And I think they're making the right fight here at bantamweight. I was a bit surprised that they put Figgy into this fight, because I think a lot of people are thinking the same way that Betty is, where it's like a lot of people do feel that he deserves the shot over Umar. But he doesn't have Nurmagomedov as his name.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way to getting you opportunities.
Yeah. Unfortunately. And being undefeated as well, too.
Yeah. Yeah, there is that element to it. And I don't think they really want Figueiredo at his age becoming bantamweight champion now, because they know it's going to be for the short run. Whereas you get Umar in, who's how old? 30. You get him in there. He could actually, again, he's a Nurmagomedov that I actually like, because his striking's quite pretty to watch as well. He's like one of those new breeds of Dagestanis that are coming up, like Usman Nurmagomedov as well.
Yeah,
the guy who fights at Bellator. So those guys who aren't just like very stifling wrestlers. They can actually stand with you and give you problems as well. I mean, he showed that with Corey as well. And he's a guy that you could have as a champion where you're like, shit, he's genuinely scary, because you could put him in there with a striker and he can do his thing. And you could put him in there with a wrestler and he can do his thing. So I think they're all kind of gearing towards wanting, and he's the right age as well. He's got the right name. It's not fair, but we know how this business works. And that's probably where it's going to go. But this fight definitely answers a lot of questions. and it's an interesting matchup, and it's I think it's going to be a good fight. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think so.
Same.
And thank God for this start time. I'm never going to stop waxing about this, man. I'm going to be enjoying this over my eggs Benedict, boys.
Enjoying that with your beans on toast.
How dare you? That's racist. But yeah, unless there's anything else you boys want to talk about, this has been a fun one. I really appreciate having you two, and I think we need to be making this more of a regular thing, man. We can do this the same. We did do this a day earlier than we were planning to, because, like I said, I wasn't even aware what time the card was on until you let me know. So that was a nice surprise. All right, yeah, and thanks so much to everyone in the chat who pitched up. Again, if you're not subscribed to every channel, please do so. Is there any other messages you guys want to shoot off before we call it a day?
Thanks for having me on. I'm always grateful. Appreciate being on here with you two gentlemen. Always enjoy the chat, man. Look forward to doing more of it in the future for sure.
Yeah. And again, shameless plug. I just dropped, like right before we did this, I just dropped a interview I did with Max Griffin. So y'all jump on the channel and go watch it all the way through, and share it and tweet it out, all that. Because I need to get them views up for this one for sure.
I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be. I don't think any of us have a watch long plan for Saturday. I don't think that's gonna be a thing. I don't think I'll be able to. My son will
won't be
probably
conscious.
Galloping around. Yeah,
I'm gonna be
you guys won't be awake.
I'm gonna be streaming my eyelids.
Yep.
But no, I appreciate all of you. Thanks. So we can, if somebody could drop the channel links in there as well. I think there's a few mods in there. If somebody could drop the channel links in, that'd be great. I assume most of you are subscribed to all three of us as well, but if you're not, then please do so. Much love to all of you. Thank you so much for all turning up. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you for the next one. We'll probably see you next week. Hopefully, it's a really good card. Have a great one, guys.
See ya.